Hey, I'm Jason from TechAU, and the video you're watching is full self-driving supervised in Australia. It was recorded on the end of my week with the Hardware 4 car, and the trip is from Wodonga to Melbourne. That journey down the Hume Highway is about 3 hours, 300 to 350 kilometers. And what you'll notice about the video is, for the vast majority, my hands aren't on the wheel or even really near it. That's because I really was very comfortable with the software at this stage. I knew its abilities, and really my interventions were around potholes and monitoring around other users was sort of the most nervous part of it. Just making sure that they didn't do anything, any trucks encroaching on the lane, that kind of thing. But you'll see as we move through the video that it's really capable as we move through Wodonga initially, the city streets, and this is sort of peak hour, 8 to 9 in the morning. Lots of cars and buses and things around, getting people around in the mornings, and that's sort of representative of a daily commute. A roundabout here going absolutely smoothly, rock solid, not a problem at all, and really single lane, double lane roundabouts, incredibly capable and just nails it every time. So I was really, really quite comfortable at this stage. The traffic flow, obviously we're measuring the distance to the cars ahead, we're staying in a lane. All that's fantastic. There's a few things throughout this video that I want to call out that are, really interesting. Really, I guess, a substantial difference to the autopilot that we have. And so obviously we're talking about full self-driving supervised. It's currently only early access users. And so, not many people in the country have it. So we took another left from the roundabout there. We're following this around. We've got a lane merge from 2 to 1 here. Indicates automatically, didn't have to touch the wheel, just super smooth. And really, if you're using this as your daily commute, you're going to have a great time. It's just really relaxing, that the car's got your back. It is new, so we are sort of, absolutely monitoring it, making sure we're ready to take over. And that can happen like in a split second. It's really easy to grab the wheel or touch the brake and intervene if you need to, which I did throughout the week. But this drive went very smoothly. Now, it isn't an end-to-end cut for 3 hours. There are times where I stop the camera, a couple of times the camera overheated, but I'll pull over and grab coffee and those kind of things that are not super interesting or nothing eventful happens. So, it's not a complete cut, but you'll get a great experience of what it's actually like to live with the software. As we're still moving through this, sort of heading towards West Wodonga, coming up to a bunch of stopped cars ahead of this roundabout. There was a vehicle on the right stopped that was taking my attention here. And while I was observing, what was happening with that vehicle, I didn't have to pay attention really to, measuring the distance of the car ahead. I'm not pressing the pedals at all. It's doing all the braking and managing my distance to that car and staying in the lanes. All of that was just mental energy I didn't need to expend. Just a guy working on his load on the back of his car, back of that truck to make sure it's secure. And then, clearly the cars are coming pretty fast through, or cars and trucks coming through this roundabout. So I definitely was sort of watching that a little closely just to make sure that, the timing of a roundabout can be quite contentious sometimes. You have to commit and accelerate. And, we braked for that ute, and then it was our turn, and we did perfect. We did really good job of just committing and getting through that without an issue at all. A 1 to 2 lane split there. And then we're down to Melrose Drive. So dual lane, multiple roundabouts coming through here. Service station up to the left, McDonald's, car pulls off, not a problem. Accommodated. That's one of the things I like the best out of full self-driving is just its ability to negotiate the cars turning ahead of you. Super smooth, doesn't overbrake. Really great job by the software. All right, so another roundabout here, dual lane roundabout. I knew once I had that Land Cruiser on the right there, it was fine, but that is obviously an indication that, your vision is blocked. So there is that slight nervousness as well. But if they can go, there is, you can go too. We've seen some people speeding beside us. That was interesting. And we do see that a couple of times through the journey. So nice easy left onto Melbourne Road here. and this leads us out onto the freeway. So again, the auto indicator is happening for us, so it's just another thing we don't have to think about. The car knows the route it's going to take. It knows it needs to take a left turn, so it puts the indicator on. And I'm really amazed just how it aligns exactly with when you would initiate the indicator leading up to that corner. So yeah, really great job. Another double lane roundabout through here, and then we merge into a single lane and go up to 110 for the freeway entrance, and then we're going to merge right. For those people who use autopilot or navigate on autopilot, you'll know that there has been some indication issues. It would indicate to the left as you merge to the right onto a freeway. Thankfully, all that's resolved with full self-driving. You see here, we're moving over to the right to overtake a vehicle that's slower than we want to be, and 110 k's is sort of the speed zone for our highway freeway. I do have a challenge with the speed staying at 110. So autopilot, as we know it, just locks onto the current speed zone, and unless it misidentifies the speed zone, you're kind of good that it would sit at the maximum possible speed. We don't have that consistency in full self-driving in this initial build. I think they're working on that. They know about it, and the team will work on that and resolve that. But yeah, for the minute, it's got a little bit of a variance, and sometimes we've seen that 110 down to even 100. So yeah, just had to manually override with the accelerator. Not the biggest issue in the world, but on a longer drive, that did get a little cumbersome. So you see here, I'm cruising along at 100. I probably didn't even notice at this stage that I wasn't until you see a car pass. Okay, I'm doing less than I need to, and they're not speeding. So corrected that just manually, yeah, with the right pedal. So there are some fairly big stretches of this that are pretty uneventful, which is good. It turns out to be almost a boring experience, and so you start to think about what else you're doing, and yeah, it started to get a bit sunnier. The clouds were overcast, but yeah, pulled out the sunglasses, and I had read in the release notes that it didn't support sunglasses in this build, which is something we've seen early on in the US builds. Thankfully, I can dismiss that. Must be an error in the release notes, because I absolutely was wearing sunglasses and without an issue. So the in-cabin camera in these Hardware 4 vehicles are able to effectively get through polarized sunglasses and look at your eyes, or use the surface of the sunglasses to detect your vision trajectory. So they basically know you're looking out the front windscreen. And you'll see me talking to the camera there, talking exactly about that sunglasses are not an issue, which clearly when you're driving sunny, bright days, you definitely want to have sunglasses on. I think on a drive like this, it really cements just how valuable full self-driving is. Certainly autopilot's great, but having full self-driving do those extra components, auto indicating, and just, really on-ramp, off-ramp, really solid. And then knowing to think about, like when you get on and off-ramp, it's continuing on, right? So full self-driving just has that city street component that we don't yet have in autopilot. And it's the big differentiator. So it's really enables the end-to-end drive where autopilot just doesn't have that. So you sit back, relax, grab a podcast or a good playlist and enjoy the ride. And pretty quickly you start to think about, well, what am I doing here? Yes, you're observing the road ahead and you're monitoring for things, but you see me playing with the aircon controls and stuff here. I mean, it gives me a little warning, hey, pay attention. Great, that's what the system should be doing. I will mention this initial build in Australia doesn't have FSD modes, so we are on a fairly conservative, driving behaviour, and that might be correlated to the speed challenge that we have. Another, interesting aspect of this build is we also don't have summon of any kind, not actual smart summon, not basic summon, none of it. For whatever reason, it's just not in the build. You also notice the visualization. So I passed that double trailer truck there. B doubles, B triples, all that sort of stuff are not represented by the graphics in the UI. You'll just basically see two trucks traveling very closely together. Similar to sort of caravans and that, and even utes and trailers, they're not really represented accurately. Trams as well, you'll see buses and stuff instead, and they're sometimes stretched. So it would be nice to see a full suite of those vehicle types in the UI. Okay, on this stretch, something quite fun happens in terms of impressed by the way the software handles it. There's a vehicle stopped to the left. It is off the road, so it's not encroaching on our lane, but we'll see full self-driving switch to the right lane to give them space. So there is a four-wheel drive parked behind a truck. A semi is parked off the side of the road. And this is just a very human, natural thing to do, is sort of give them space, because a passing car at sort of 100, 110 Ks, creates a lot of wind. It sort of, if there's people walking around the vehicles, it sort of, risks them, if they were to venture into the lane, it causes a problem. And just, it's the right thing to do, is give everybody space when there's available room to do so. So there was definitely nobody in the right lane. The car checked the, available space around the vehicle and then moved into the right lane. It was a really great outcome. Love to see that. You can see that white SUV in the right lane as sort of an indication of just how much manual driving, the cars shift within their lane when people are navigating that manually. And, we're just locked in here with full self-driving. Lane centering is just the best thing since sliced bread. And we see a little bit of variance when you've got cars sort of coming close to you in the lane. The car might move away from them slightly just to give it a bit of an extra buffer. So again, just an auto indicator to the right lane, moves around this track perfectly. Really great job. And once we're free, it'll move back to the left lane. There we go. See B double there, and yeah, it's just represented as one long truck on the UI. It's at this point you realize just how mundane this drive is. If you've done it multiple times, you really, struggle to keep your attention at the best of times because it is such a boring, long drive. It's not exciting. There's not a lot to look at on the side of the road. It's just about getting to the destination. So having a system to, basically do the lion's share of the work for you is definitely a massive assistance. And yeah, people will make different assessments about the value of the software, but if you were doing this route regularly, I think it would pay for itself in no time. So there's me just sort of checking the destination. So when you are at full screen, you sort of lose that perspective of just how far, left you have in the journey. It is in the little horizontal bar down the bottom in the trip overview. But just directionally where you want to head. This skips forward a little bit, and we're now copping a bit of rain. So just another point to touch on. I never seen any degradation in the system performance, either through direct sunlight or through showers. And there were times where I drove during this week, there was some very intense, wipers as fast as they go kind of rain. And I'm very glad that I had the system to support me going through that, because I think it did a better job of seeing than I could. It is worthwhile mentioning that this driving experience is just very fundamentally different than what I've been used to for the last 5 years, given that we've had the nag, which is effectively asking you to put torque into the wheel to tell the system you're paying attention. And so that nag has just completely gone away, replaced by the driver monitoring system using computer vision. And if there was an opportunity, I don't think there will, but if there was an opportunity for Tesla to retrofit that component into autopilot, that would make the world of difference. And of course, you'd still have to intervene for roundabouts and city streets and that kind of thing. But on a drive like this, having to put torque into the wheel just feels really ridiculous. Once you've experienced something like this, you know that the system's capable, and you'd love to see it. Right, so here's the situation where we're pulled over off on the side of the freeway and the car's passing at 100 k's an hour. I did opt to manually override here and intervene myself, accelerated hard, and then enabled full self-driving after that. I could have let the system do it, but I figured that it was probably going to wait and be fairly cautious, so I just wanted to get moving and do it myself. So now we're into Melbourne. We've got, Melbourne morning traffic. This is a Wednesday, by the way, a Wednesday morning. And, we're right around sort of 11 o'clock-ish, I'm going to guess, something to that degree. And, so then we split. Obviously, we're in multi-lane environment and merging from the left. And just, city commute. Again, if you live and breathe the city, that's your world, then this is going to make your life very, very different every day. And it would be much more okay if you were to live in the outskirts of Melbourne and have that 45 minutes to an hour commute. It would be much more tolerable if you had full self-driving to assist you, during your daily commute. It wouldn't be so severe. Of course, you can't be on your phone, you can't be watching a movie, you can't be reading a book, that kind of thing. You still have to pay attention. So it's not quite the dream of full self-driving. Obviously, the plan from Tesla is that will still come in the future, but you see us moving through some of the landmarks here, the entryways into Melbourne, into the heart of the city. Pretty recognisable and nice view to take in. There's a new bridge going across with those orange beams across, quite a unique landmark now. And you see those barriers dividing lanes, no problems there. And then we peel off. We were meant to take that exit. I'm not quite sure why it didn't. That's maybe one of the exceptions where the off-ramp didn't work as expected. And then, we pull around into multiple lanes. I think it got slightly confused there, so I just opted out. And then, re-enable it up here. So that's what, I'm quite comfortable in intervening when I need to. I think that's how the system learns. And, of course, this is a fairly evolved build because they've built on the knowledge they've gained from the development internationally. But, this is the first build in Australia. So I think there's definitely some iterations to go. But my advice to anybody who gets behind the wheel of this, just take over when you need to. Don't try and push it to the limits and, have the car do something weird. So up here, I started looking for the hook turn, was kind of my ambition. And surprisingly, it's not that easy to find a hook turn when you're actually looking for one. So it did take me a little bit of negotiating with nav points, etc., to do that. And I also needed to find a supercharger as well. So you see we come up to the intersection up here and we start to see our first trams in Melbourne. Tram on the right there and it pulls across ahead of us. Another one on the left passing by. This isn't a hook turn, but this was a good indication we weren't far from them. And you see me working the nav there to locate one. So again, we jump forward in the video to a roundabout. This had sort of a cobblestone crossing where there was a lot of pedestrians who had the right of way. I ended up taking over. I just wanted to be a bit more prompt about it. And then, we got caught with that car giving way to more pedestrians. There's just a lot of people out in Melbourne. The car could have handled that. Again, I got a little bit impatient and overtook. There goes another tram. More pedestrians. It just waits perfectly for our turn and then goes. That was great. I didn't know if it was going to do that lane selection there. There was sort of a barrier that was on the road wasn't a big one, but sort of a lane dividing there. So I did intervene and grab that. And again, I'm just going through a sequence of trying to find a specific intersection with a hook turn. And this was me not knowing Melbourne super well. So I was searching on the fly, using some voice assistance. I was trying to nav to it and eventually found one. So it was a really great test, and you'll see that in a minute. Yep, so tram on the right. And this is, again, just for more of the same. Me still searching for that turn, and we eventually get the intersection that we're chasing. It was really challenging to, to basically select the location on the fly that meant the car had to turn right. Normally you're selecting a destination you actually want to go to, and the car would just nav the most efficient way there. So this is a kind of an artificial thing to do. This is the point where I took a break from that mission and went to go find the supercharger, and it navigated down this lower floor and through this to the boom gate, stopped, waited till I got the ticket, and then from taking the ticket, the boom gate lifted, the car recognized that, and it drove forward. So all of that went swimmingly. That was fantastic. And then again, I was on sort of a bit of a time battle, so I took over and parked because that supercharger spot is just super tight. This is me entering the hook turn, and you'll see we approach, and we've got a right turn in the nav, and we do exactly what we need to be, pulling up in the waiting bay for the hook turn. And for those not familiar, we're doing this to wait for any passing trams. This example didn't have a tram passing by, but we did exactly what we needed to, which is pull to the left lane and then sit there and wait. It feels very weird to be in the intersection when the light turns orange and then red. Everything we've been taught since we learned to drive is you're out of the intersection when it's red. So there we go, red, and then it goes, and that executes the hook turn perfectly. And yeah, that is a really great inclusion, and that sort of validates what Tesla had shown in their video as well. This is the final section of it where we are pulling into the tunnel. Somebody had asked, how does it handle tunnels? The answer is absolutely fine. And this tunnel's kind of unique in that it has a green light that sort of helps guide your speed. So if you're going faster than catching up to the green light, you're speeding. If you're falling behind, you're not going fast enough. So sort of a unique thing that they do there, and it worked quite well. And the car was absolutely fine in a tunnel. So that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and thanks for sticking with me. I hope you've sort of got an appreciation of just how capable the system is. And yeah, leave a comment below.